should be unloaded. All right, so today I'm going to talk about some basics. Basics of shooting pistol, which is going to be the grip, stance, and the draw. So right now I'm just going to go over the grip. Make this pretty quick because I really don't think there's too much to this to spend 20 minutes on, because it's pretty basic. The grip I use, I had the pleasure to work with Bob Vogel, so I kind of got my grip from him. You probably watched his videos already, so I'll show you my grip, and it's my version, I guess, of the Vogel type of grip. Of course, you want to get as high as you can on the back of your gun to help control that muzzle, okay, that muzzle flip, or that repercussion of the gun coming back this way. It'll allow you to maximize the force as high as you can get onto the back, so there's less kick this way. So you want to try to get as high as you can on that. As soon as I put my hands high to where it's comfortable, and my finger is in a good position on the trigger, that'll be my right hand grip. Nice open spot here. That's literally right where my left hand's going to go. So my palm's going to come right on that open spot. You can see my thumb kind of riding down the slide, and typically it's down the slide, and mine moves back and forth. It's never quite perfect. I try to keep it generally on the slide, but it'll slip down there, so no big deal. But you can see I got my hand as high as I possibly can, and as much of that hand on the gun as possible. Okay, so as far as once I have this grip down, where am I going to put where's the force come, or the pressure come? You might think it's squeezing the gun like this, but it's really not that way. If you hear some other videos, or you talk to people that talk about a push-pull, where you got to pull with your right and push with your left, or vice versa, to me, ignore it. Drop that video. Don't even watch it. Don't waste your time. It's not the case. I played with it in the beginning whenever I was watching some videos, this push-pull and with your hands. Forget about it. Waste of time. Wasted probably a good month of my life trying that and experimenting with it. Stupid. It's going to be a waste. Your pressures is in essence going to be more of like, you got to think of your hands as a vise. Okay. So the way a vise works, obviously, is inward. Okay. So if I bring my thumb, or this palm of my hand, left hand, together with my right, I'm going to push together and create more of a vise. All right. So think of it in terms of that. So when I'm coming in, I got my grip, I'm going to actually put pressure together to where I'm creating that vise. And you know, if you had a vise, if I put this in a vise, it's going to keep it pretty still. So that's what I'm thinking. Okay. So once I'm on that grip, I'm squeezing together like a vise, and right there allows me to get a lot of control over that gun. It's going to give me a lot of control over that recoil. Okay. So that's what you're looking for. The nice, the nice firm grip that I have, or putting that vise pressure on it. I'm going to keep the gun still, and then as I pull the trigger, if you watched my last video, I talked about the front sight, that main focus on the front sight. So as I got that good squeeze vise pressure on my hands, I can pull that trigger and make sure that front sight's not moving that whole time. All right. So that's basically it. That's going to allow you to maximize the control of that gun, allow you to maximize that control of the gun through the trigger squeeze, okay, to make sure that front sight stays still. So as I'm practicing it and going through my dry fire, I can squeeze, look at that front sight, and then pull the trigger and make sure that front sight does not move. All right. Obviously, when I'm shooting, I'm going to see that jump. The shooting steel video that I just recently had done, I showed you the sight and how basically it's going to be moving up and down a little bit. If I stay on that sight, you're going to see that if I get that tight grip, and if you focus on that front sight and you go ahead and shoot, at the target or into the berm, you can see the tighter you get it, that vice grip, you're going to see the less jump on that front sight, and that you actually get to that front sight a lot quicker. So give that a shot, play with it as much as you can. I had a gentleman talk about a little bit about how he felt the angle of his finger was a little bit funny. So maybe it is playing around with certain guns for you, but I generally think that'll work. It doesn't matter what gun you pick up. I think it's going to work that way and work real well for you. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the stance. Your basic stance, like in any sport, is going to be real athletic. Athletic being that you have to have a little bend in your knees. You want your chest more over your toes, okay? You don't want to be too far back this way, and you don't want to be back on your heels. So you want to be up over your toes. So if you get that chest over your toes, then you're going to keep that weight shifted more to the balls of your feet. Reason being is, if I stay here, I'm going to have a lot more control over the gun, and as I shoot through that recoil of the gun, it's going to throw me back a little. If I keep my arms stiff, it's going to throw me back a little. So if I have the weight forward and on the balls of my feet, then I can actually take that recoil and stay here more, as opposed to if I'm back on my heels or if I'm standing too tall, I come back this way whenever I feel that recoil. So we want to stay forward, basically in your basic athletic stance, and set yourself up to where you got that weight forward. Get your grip, got that weight forward, and this is my shooting position here where I got the weight of the balls of my feet. I feel nice and steady. If I'm looking at that front sight in this position, that front sight's not moving. So obviously I have a very good stable stance with my grip. And then from this position here, if I don't move my body and just holster the weapon, it goes to show you kind of where I can start as far as before my draw. So chest forward. Sometimes in some of the videos you'll see me once in a while where I'll do this before I get ready to shoot, where I go up on the balls of my feet, and that way just gets me set to make sure that I got my weight forward and I got the weight a little bit more on the balls of my feet. Okay, so when my weight's distributed a little bit more on the balls of my feet, I got better control. Okay, so I'm not back on my heels to where if I'm back on my heels I can fall back. So it's another nice little cue for me to get up on my toes just to make sure that I'm forward when I start from my starting position. So that's basically, in essence, the stance. Again, you don't have to spend a ton of time on it. It's don't overthink too much. Just try to get in position. You definitely want to film yourself whenever you're doing these, because it's real deceptive on what you do whenever you shoot. Sometimes whenever I see people shoot, step forward here, they start just a little high, but by the time they start taking the recoil, like say if they're shooting steel and you're in a stationary position and you're going bang, 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 bang. Sometimes when they start just a little high, they might be just a little forward, but by the time they're shooting, they get a little recoil, so they go from here to, as they shoot, bang, 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 and they're up here a little bit, so they're off balance, and sometimes I see them getting off target because they're not forward, they're not aggressive enough. So shooting obviously is pretty aggressive, so this is more of an aggressive stance. So you want to be in an more aggressive position whenever you start your shooting here. Feet side by side. Because playing around with the feet too much, it will affect your aim and how you can view things. Some people feel more comfortable that way. I still feel that try to get yourself comfortable with feet side by side in that position. So let's move on. Okay, let's put those two things together now with the draw. So the draw being, got to get in my stance first, and then I'm going to get from my stance to the grip, all right, that we talked about in the beginning. So I'm in my stance, on my toes, a little bit forward. Anytime I start shooting in competition or anything, you're going to be starting from hands down position, hands side at rest, I like to start with my hands here. Had a crew member on my crew, my shooting crew, tell me keep my hands here more. That's still side and ready. I used to start like this, which I had my hands too far away from my gun. So starting kind of with the hands more in the front. You're still at your sides, so it's still a good starting position. So I can get my hands onto the gun. You got to make sure when you first start off that both your hands are moving. I see a lot of guys start with moving this right hand, this left hand stays still. They got to move together. So you got to get everything working together. So one of the good things to do even when you're at home, and you can practice this at home. That's what makes great about practicing draw and grip and stuff, is because you can do this anywhere. You want to get those hands moving together. So one of the first things you might want to start doing is hearing a beep, got your timer, or just start even just doing this where both hands move. This hand's coming to the gun while this hand's coming basically roughly in front of your stomach, in essence, is about a good position as any to be. So hand, hand, hand. So they both have to move together. It's not natural at first for you to do that. You're going to be going like this automatically, but you got to make this the automatic movement. All right. So it just takes a little time of just doing this, and believe me, this comes fast. It's not natural at first. We do this 100 times at your house, and next thing you know, it'll click like that. So this hand has to come to the gun. I'm not going to get too complicated with it, but talk about coming above the gun and then shoving your hand down just a little, so you have a good grip here. This hand's in front of my stomach, and then I'm going to pull straight up, try to clear the holster. And I'm not going to think about this too much, but just enough to clear that holster and bring it to my left hand. So as it comes to the left hand and raises, then I can chop this left hand up into the trigger guard and then just roll my left hand into the gun as I'm bringing it up to my chest and then push out. So if I start here and I'm already up to my chest, I'm already being able to get onto that front sight as I push straight out and squeeze together. Okay, so that's the draw right here. Bringing it back down, it's going to go the opposite. Into the chest, hands release, gun to the holster, this hand to the stomach, and we're at rest. So real simple, and it's a great, again, to take video. I've taken video myself doing this, and that's when the improvements came. So you have the basic guideline here of what I'm showing you. You watch 100 videos, but it's a lot more powerful if you just video yourself doing it, so you can see exactly what you're doing. Sometimes what you think you're doing and what you're actually doing are going to be totally different. So video it all the time, especially when you're first starting out, to make sure you get the mechanics down. And again, go slow, go real slow, because what you have to do is you have to build that muscle memory. All right, you build that muscle memory by doing the motion slow but doing it correctly. So you create a proper pathway and a proper neuromuscular connection with how the body's supposed to be moving. So do it slow at first to make sure that you have the mechanics down. And then you can start speeding it up. Even if you have to do it 10, 20 times nice and slow. Nice and slow. I got my grip coming up, chopping the hand in my chest, pushing out, got to the front sight, boom, right there. Okay? Then as you get a little better, after you do it 10, 20 times slow, then you start going quarter speed, then half speed. And then as you build it up, it's going to become more natural, and then you're a little bit quicker. Is it always going to be perfect? Probably not, but the more you practice it, the better it becomes. All right? So, and that's it, folks. Just getting that, making sure that hand meets the underneath the gun. Never cross that barrel in front of your hand, so you never do that. Just make sure it comes up and you chop that in, and then you can rotate that hand naturally right into your grip that we talked about. So real simple, folks. Just the grip, stance, and the draw. make it real quick. The rest of it is literally just you filming yourself doing everything so that you can see what you're doing. And then as soon as you do one, look at the camera. Go ahead, go right back to your video, look at it. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? Did this hand come up or did it not come up? You're going to pick all that stuff out if you do that. But this will give you a nice little view of how I do it, which I think is so far a pretty good method. It's done well for me, so I think it'll do well for you. Thank you for watching.
All right. Are you ready? Stand by. Range is clear.